that's off. Where's our window? Where'd window go? There we go. There you see.
All right. Cool.
I'm gonna hit record.
Thank you. Nice
You
chatting
bet.
with you.
Yes, you guys have fun. And there you go. You're on.
Hi, everybody. Give me a second. Thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for coming. Okay. Well, this was a day I have certainly been looking forward to. Here we are, Metaphysical Meltdown. My name is Mary Beckman. I'm going to be introducing Irma Kaye Sawyer in just a second. We are here to talk about why we are feeling so weird. Yeah, because we are. And you know, today is the first day I'm actually going to say, I'm going to turn my air conditioning on. Isn't that weird? I did it in my car today. It was 69, I believe. Got lost going to the market. Went to the wrong market, but I bought the biggest celery I've ever seen. That is the biggest celery I have ever seen. $3.
Me too.
Yeah. $5 eggs. Just letting everybody know.
Beautiful.
Come on, you guys, move to Pennsylvania. So as soon as I start seeing people coming on, we will start. Oh, there's a couple people coming on. I just want to have the ability, there it is, have everything open. Thanks, folks. Thanks for coming. So Irma Kaye is going to be talking about a lot tonight. We're on for 1 hour exactly tonight. We just have to say that up front. Also, you can ask some questions, but please make them general questions because she doesn't have time to go into your chart. There's just too much to say. So March is a monster month. And we feel weird. I feel weird. I'm just going to put it out there. I feel kind of weird today. I'm feeling very positive. Like I said, I got super lost. Didn't care because it was really pretty where I was. I was like, whoa, look at that covered bridge. So what we're talking about tonight will be the lunar and the solar eclipse, the equinox. And Irma, will you be talking about the portal opening of March 29th, the galactic wave?
I wasn't really going to talk that much about the new moon yet because there's so much to say about this moon.
Okay, cool.
You can have me on again.
Yeah, just know that there is a giant galactic wave coming in on the 29th. And just, you know, hold your shorts because it's going to be really, really amazing. So if you already have not been amazed, just stand still and you will be. So my guide, I just sat down to open up to find out what I needed to say, and it's like nothing. So don't worry, I don't have much to say. My guide said, the walk aims high, but there's much to learn along the path because people are feeling not so great the last little bit, but also big, big insights and open, cool energy. So that's really all about what I want to say. At the end, I'll just say something about something personal, but bless you for coming on today. This is Irma Kaye Sawyer, everybody, and there she goes.
Thank you so much. Hi, thanks for having me back on the Meltdown program. So fun to be here. Yeah, there's a lot going on. Yes, I do have good news if people have been having a great week, feeling kind of wonky, having a hard time getting grounded, all of that, you know, because of course, whenever the universe and its great sense of humor, that whenever we have these big portals, then the geomag activity gets really high again, like it was, right, with X flares and so forth over the weekend. I know it was real high on Saturday and Sunday because I always feel it. It makes I feel it in my digestive system because I'm sensitive there. And speaking of that, Virgo, that's what Virgo rules in the body. So if people are going, oh, I can normally eat that, now I can't eat that right now, give yourself a break, you know, just eat kind of intuitively and, you know, do everything intuitively because it's such a totally sensitive portal. Pisces and Virgo are both very sensitive signs in different ways. Pisces rules the feet. I had a couple of posts about, please wear proper footwear. You know, don't go climbing rocks in your sandals and things like that. Even though it's just kind of a common sense thing, but whenever we've got this much Pisces energy and this much Virgo energy, these are the parts of the body that are going to be affected, right? And then Pisces, of course, rules the dream world. So this is why everybody's going, what's up with these weird dreams? right? Because even my partner, who doesn't normally remember his dreams, I'm a person that does, but he had this big dream he told me about this morning, and I was like, wow, that's pretty interesting, because he doesn't normally remember them, right? So there's a lot of lucid dreaming going on. But the important thing to share about this eclipse and why it's so big, and I'm so happy to be on the program telling people about this, is that we are going to be shifting out of, I call it a seismic shift because it is. We've had, I want to make sure my notes are correct. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011. Okay. And it's going to be moving into Aries on May 1st. Okay. Then we're also going to be having Saturn moving into Aries on May 24th. So we have been, like I joke and say, we're soaking in it. We've been soaking in Pisces energy for many years, right? Long time. And some of these patterns that are coming up for release are around the shadow of Pisces energy, which is victimhood, which is negative spells, which is Mary does great work with getting those chains and those cords, those golden little things on your ankle, whatever you call that, little shackle. That's the word.
Yeah,
getting those shackles off people. This is really, which is wonderful work, and you do that kind of work all year round, even when we're not doing that. But I'm mentioning that because this is so on point to do this kind of work through this portal. Because what we're doing, not only are we doing it for us, this is conjunct the North Node. And for people that aren't aware, I'll give you the layperson's explanation. The moon nodes, they're the lunar nodes. We have a North Node and a South Node. South Node is in Virgo. North Node right now is in Pisces. So that means this moon and eclipse are contacting the North and the South Node. What does that mean? Some people call these can opener eclipses because it, and then for some people it might be a can of whoop ass, depends on your individual chart, right? As I like to say, your mileage may vary, right? That's why these are not a one size fits all. In a minute, I'm going to share with people about some tools, how to look into your own individual chart about how this might be lining up for you. But this is really important because I'm calling it the spell breaker. Not only is it a can opener, it's a spell breaker. And this is very big. I'm having my own group on Friday. I've got a wonderful group of women that we're going to get together and do some ritual work with this. So that's another thing I wanted to mention for people that want to work with this energy. It's really, really powerful to work with eclipses, right? And I tend to work on the flip side, the waning side of the eclipse, because there's so much energy building to the apex of the actual eclipse. Not only that, I joke and call it amateur hour. That's when everybody's doing their workings, right? Is at the actual moment of the full moon or leading up to it. That's when a lot of the superhighway, the astral superhighway is very, very busy at that time. I tend to not do events then for a reason. And I like to do it when the big push has passed and then you're kind of in the quieter part of the energy. But full moon eclipses, they last for minimum 3 days. So we're going to be in the portal. I mean, this one's going to be even longer. So it opened today because the moon is now in Virgo. By the time I do my event, we're going to be in a waning moon in Libra on Friday evening. But that whole energy is going to be open all the way probably through the weekend. I would say at least through Saturday. So if anybody wants to work with this energy, either individually or in a group, you don't have to do it on the actual moment of the eclipse. In fact, I don't think it's ideal for the reasons I just said. So unless you feel, particularly drawn to do that. So what we're talking about with this waning moon or a full moon, and then the period right after it, of course, it's releasing. This is a very strong releasing energy. And then we've got Virgo, which is all about healing. It's all about health. It's all about the physical body. So this is a great time to look at, and again, I already talked about diet. Maybe people's diet needs some cleaning up, right? Maybe people need to be drinking a little more water. They need to be changing their sleep habit, however that translates for you, right? But that's really what Virgo traditionally is going to highlight, health. And that's the health area of the chart, of the collective chart. Okay. And then Pisces, of course, very mystical, very spiritual, has to do with the collective. So what's really important about this is the North Node is where we're going and the South Node is where we've been. This is of special interest to people born in 1956 to 1971. These are the Pluto and Virgo people, which includes me. And
Okay.
so anybody that is born in this time period, right? There's people on this call, on this watching this that are for sure. If you have Pluto and Virgo, that means that this lunar eclipse is conjunct your Pluto. This means that this is incredibly powerful. This is hugely transformational. And a lot of people, I mean, really, without sounding a little bit corny, this is soul mission stuff. This is part of the reason why you incarnated in a body right now at this particular time.
I
right?
think people are getting that. I've heard people say that. My work has just changed in the last couple of days. I got all my new stuff in, but I've heard other people say that.
That they're feeling what, more on point with their mission, or it's changing, or
No, they finally saw it.
oh wow.
Yeah. There it is. Boop, there it is. Yeah.
Whoop, there it. I love that. That's amazing. That's so great. That makes me so happy.
Because we've all not seen stuff, you know, and we all are going to see, we're going to have certain reactions to seeing some of this new stuff. My guide just said, after the time with Irma Kaye, there's a place you're not looking, but will look very shortly. It's important. What? So now that's in the back of my mind. But that's okay, because we're going
to. It's like the subtext. It's metaphysical meltdown, and then the other subtext is going on over. It's like the little tickers running over.
Gotta listen to this stuff, you guys. It's interesting. So, yeah, absolutely. Keep going, Irma. I'm not gonna.
Okay, so that makes me beam like somebody's mom, as I like to say. That's great news. I'm really glad to hear that people are getting activated to their mission. That's exactly what's happening with this, or what's on deck with this. Another thing, like I said, why I felt it was so important to get a group of my own together, and I do my little monthly gatherings, but this one, like, a lot of people showed up for it, and I was like, because they, as the saying goes, they understand the assignment, right? They understood the assignment. And what's the assignment? We're not only dropping our own, shackles, blind spots, ways that we're stuck, patterns that we're ready to let go of. I certainly had some stuff come up this week already. And I was like, okay, are you paying attention? So some people may have things that have been arising already in consciousness that have started to show. And if you haven't yet, like, eclipses, they're a slow, it's like, as John Prine says, it's a slow turning from the inside out. It's not here right. If it's not here right now, that doesn't mean it's not going to be here next week or even next month. The effect of eclipses can be felt for weeks minimum. They can be felt all the way to the next eclipse cycle, which is 6 months from now in the fall. That's how long people can be impacted by eclipse energy. Okay, so it can be a slow burner, but on the other hand, it can be boom, end of relationship, end of job, need to move to a new like really big life stuff can happen in eclipses too. And I know, as unsettling as that is for people, when something happens in this kind of a portal, it's not an accident, and we know that. It's the spirit going, let's move you on to your next better, higher and better thing, right? So I always tell people, try to suspend judgment if something big happens in an eclipse. Trying to not get all in what I call the swirl about it, because it let things land. We need to kind of let the energy land, and then kind of examine it then. So especially if emotions are really high, people need to just kind of chill. But back to what I was saying about North Node. So really, all of this patterning, this really is very cosmic and spiritual. All of the patterning that's been keeping people down, humanity, you can use the word oppressed, not knowing who they are, all of that stuff. This is a moment to go, F that, we're done. We learn through joy now. We don't need this anymore. We're outgrowing this pattern. Thank you though, but we're leveling up. That's what this moment is. So the more people we can get with that intention, that we're going to drop these lesser ways of thinking, of consciousness, of looking at the world, of looking at other people. It's all connected. And then Pisces, of course, is on its highest octave. It's the God realm. It's like the 12th dimension. It's stuff you can't even access with your ordinary consciousness. It's very, very high, right? So I love this particular astrological pair, because Virgo is Gaia and is the Earth Mother, you know, and they're both so intricately tied together, right? We can't have one without the other. We live on planet Earth. We need that. So this is saying we're going to take high spiritual concepts and energy. We're going to bring it to Earth, right? We're going to activate it in our mission and our life. So they really are a beautiful pair, Pisces and Virgo, in that way, even though they're opposed. I have some notes about how this is, because people are going to go, how does this impact me, right? The actual moon is at 23 degrees 56 seconds of Virgo for people playing the home game. That's where it's at. So
Okay.
interestingly, if you have any planets or houses at 20 to 28 degrees of Virgo, this will be very, very strong for you personally. If you don't know where you've got planets, you could go on astro.com and run your chart for free. If anybody would like detailed information on their chart, I can look at it. You can make an appointment for that. Just a little plug in for there. But you can actually find out quite a lot on your own if you find any planets there or houses, again, between 20 and 28 degrees. If you don't have that, that still doesn't mean it's not going to affect you. It's just not affecting your personal astrology in a very direct way. The secondary influence, we're going to look at Pisces, also any planets at 20 to 28 degrees, right? Because we look at the sun as well as the moon because they're traveling together. But obviously the moon is the big focal point of an eclipse. So it's really a Virgo focused eclipse. And this is really interesting, really quick. I share something called the Sabian symbols. I talked about Elsie Wheeler. Elsie Wheeler was an incredible medium and intuitive, that brought in 360 different Sabian symbols because it's 30 times 12. I finally did the math on that. And it's a lot. So when you have anything that's past 30 seconds, it's closer to the next degree. So we've got this at 56, which is it's very close to 24. So I read both of them. I looked at both of them, and this is very, very interesting. I have a picture of a lion and a lamb on my Facebook. If anybody's seen that, this is the explanation. 23 is a lion tamer, displays his or her skill and character. That's 23. And the key word, according to Dane Rudyard, who's the expert, the Sabian symbol expert that I've studied, the key word for that is resoluteness, right? And it also has to do with patience. So that's when it starts opening. That's when we're opening arcana. We're going to start with 23. Then as it unfolds, then it moves into 24, which is Mary and her lamb.
Oh.
I know. Beautiful, beautiful. And of course, the key word being innocence. Don't we love how the lion and the lamb are traveling together through this, guys? Don't we love this so much? I mean, I wanted to cry. That's a beautiful. We know that there's amazing spiritual, symbology with the lion and the lamb, right? We know that. So what I love about this is there's, kind of sitting with that, there's a fierceness to that. There's a fierceness to dealing with a lion, right? Of course. You have to have courage. You have to be, you have to kind of know who you are. Again, resoluteness. Yes, you have to be resolute in dealing with that. So, and of course, I think of the lion on the tarot deck, on the courage card, right? We think of that image. And then, but you think about as this energy kind of goes through the grid and washes through the planet, it ends up at 24. It ends up with Mary and her lamb. And then we have Mary, and then we have Big Mama Mary. There's a lot of connotation for Mary there. So I think about that. I just wanted to share that with people as they move through this portal of energy, which is, we're feeling it already. It's big. Keep your grounding. Do your grounding, folks. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was just going to say, I came in this afternoon and looked at my card deck and I said, why am I feeling this way? And I pulled card 77 to transcend the ladder.
Wow.
The ladder. And that's when my guide said, we're going up and through.
That's right. Right on.
Seeing these images of like a Utah canyoneering guy trying to get through, and my fat butt's been stuck a couple times, but I got through. It's only what day is this? The 12th?
The 12th.
Okay. It's been a lot of March, and it's only the 12th.
It's been a lot of March. You got that right. Oh man.
People
Yeah.
that are feeling as though they're losing, it might have been taking them a while to go.
Right.
That makes sense?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because if we go like that regularly, if we're always constantly moving, you're not going to have to wait for your big butt to get through the portal. This one is one that you kind of have to go through. You have to transcend this.
That's true. I love hearing your energetic perspective on it, because it really suits the actual astrological portal. You know,
Yeah.
there's some steps people are gonna have to take. You know, you're not gonna just scoot, like you can't run through this one. This one has some things that need to be experienced. In astrology, we call it, there's things where you can actually skip steps and you have to kind of go back. So with this, it's almost like there's an assurance that nobody's going to do that. We're not going to do that. We're going to go through this appropriately, right? We're not going to go sprinting through this thing. So that's really cool to hear that. That's really, really interesting. You're going to love the Sabian symbols, though, for Pisces. I thought, just for fun, I'll look at those. They're, you know, it's still it's a secondary influence, but it still matters. 23 Pisces is a materializing madam giving a seance.
Oh, wow.
Who does that remind us of? Miss Medium over here. I know, right? And I thought, you know, what's interesting is it's not just a medium. They had the word materializing in there. That's an important word, right? Because when you leave that out, it's not the same. So I looked at, so the key word for Pisces 23 is substantiation. So this is like making things happen on the physical plane. Well, what's the opposite? That's what Virgo does. Virgo's a nice, practical, grounded earth sign. It makes things happen on the physical plane. So there we go. Then so that opens that part of the little can opener up. 24, you're gonna love this too. On a small island surrounded by a vast sea, people are together in a close interaction. So you know what? All these people getting together and doing groups through this portal, like I'm doing a little one. I know a bunch of people that are getting together in their little groups. You have groups, you do group work. So the keyword of that is centralization. So I really love this. Like, look how on point we already are. I mean, I already had a group and did all the stuff before I even looked at the Sabian symbols. So what is that saying? You're going to be dropping stuff you don't want to carry. What did I say? I said, if you only do one magical thing through this portal, I wrote it on my wall today. It's dropping, obstructions, dropping negative spells, dropping illusion, not only for yourself, but for everyone. So we're creating that space, right? For people, as the keepers say, the Akashic Wisdom keepers talk about widening the road. We're widening the road for people to drop what they no longer wish to carry, or no longer will to carry, and also what they've outgrown. Because eclipses do shine a light on what people have outgrown. Whether it be relationships, whether they need to move to another place, residence, whether it can be a lot of things, or it can even be something small, like, I've outgrown that habit, or with me, I don't need to eat all those chips.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's interesting that you said, so I looked at social media when I got up this morning. After 12 hours of sleep, I slept 12 hours.
That sounds so delicious. I'm really jealous.
I haven't done that in a long time. So I looked at social media, and people this morning early, they were like, wow, talking about really awesome stuff, right? That we're coming back together, that it's been a time of sleep and rest. We're now ready to come back. I don't know how many people said that. Then I went off and did stuff, had breakfast and fed the dogs and all the things I had to do, came back later, and I was looking at, having a little rest before I left. I looked at social media, and it was like, and so what I'm hoping the spells are that are being left behind is when people are sharing, doesn't matter whether it's social media or just between people on the phone or in face to face, when people are sharing some of that Debbie Downer stuff, that is spelling right there. So that spelling is left behind, because you can see people's messages. We'll talk about social media. People, I'm going to do that. This is great. And then they give you the turd in the punch bowl, which is what I always call it.
I love that expression.
They wind back to the thing they're trying to overcome. We must overcome. So I looked up, there are two things I want to say really quick is
No, this is great. I love it.
what I was talking to the rainbow dragon. I can't help it. If they come to talk and they're nice, everybody's going to talk. I'm not going to be rude. So he said, walk together and appreciate being here now as a solo resting is done. Who remembers you? And I went, what? Because it feels like we gave up a lot and a lot of people for a period of time because we had to do things like, you know, just get through whatever it was we thought we were doing or we thought we were busy.
Yeah.
That pisses people off when I say they think they're busy. So you can be busy. You can be busy, but the layered salad makes you think you're real busy.
Right.
Okay. Get that out because everybody wants higher energy, but the way to get it is to slough off all the old heavy. When you slough that off, there's nothing you have to do. You're there, you know? So looking at that card real quick, to transcend the ladder of transcendence points out where you are in your spiritual growth and will accelerate breakthroughs in timing. Did you get stuck? Keep climbing. Nature is our mirror for growth.
That's beautiful. How
So
perfect.
as you look outside right now, it's like the buds are thinking about it. In Pennsylvania, they haven't done much, but they're swelling and thinking about it. And my guides have always said, once you start seeing flowers on the trees, you are a different person. So
Wow.
see
That's
what-
beautiful. That's so true. That's so
what it
true.
is they, you know, yeah.
And another thing, you know, we're talking about that energy coming in on the 29th. Well, that is the new moon in Aries. I'll talk a little bit about that because, of course, eclipses travel in pairs. You can't have one without the other one. So that's new moon in Aries, which, right, that's entry point. That's sign number 1 on the zodiac. That talk about birth metaphor. Hello.
Yeah.
So we've got 12th house, Pisces. This is part of the reason why this time of year feels you can feel all the baggage because it's all there.
Yeah.
The 12th house is all about that. It's the storehouse of knowledge, which is the beautiful part of it. But there's all this other stuff that's floating around in there, right? It's just because 12th house is a big, expansive collective space. So that's real. That's why we're doing this powerful working when this huge window is open. It's conjunct the North Node. So it's saying like, hey, when you guys, this Pisces energy, there's all these aspects of it that aren't working so well. But there's other aspects of it that are amazing and beautiful. Like, let's talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about the Buddha and Kuan Yin and compassion and forgiveness. These are all beautiful Piscean aspects, right? And so we're talking about what are we leaving behind? Codependency, victimhood, the woe is me, you know, can't do anything right. And then you talk about the shadow of Virgo. This has been our collective wound, people with Pluto and Virgo. I call it the not good enough wound. A lot of people born in that time period, 1956 to 1971, have this signature of however it manifested in their life, whether their family, their childhood, what in relationships, there's a lot of ways. So that we're leaving that behind. That is huge. That is chef's kiss.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? That means Gen Zers or all these other generations coming up, they don't have to do that. That's what that means.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And again, not to say they're not going to have their own karmic challenges because every Pluto, every soul group that comes in does. But Pluto and Virgo, I mean, let's face it, it's heavy. It's really heavy. It's not fun. Another pattern that is going to come up too that's very heavy is slavery. Pluto and Virgo, the shadow of Virgo is slavery. So the high aspect of it is like this beautiful kind of enlightened service, right? Service from the heart, service that is, you know, it's something you want to do.
Yes.
It's not something you have to do, right? So it's not, there's not a weird, you know, imperative to it. It's just from the heart. And that's also with Pisces. So you can see what we're clearing, y'all. It's big stuff. It's important stuff to clear because then when you get into Aries is literally a brand new page, brand new canvas going, what do you guys want to create? Right. And then Pluto is now in Aquarius, which I've talked to Mary about this because she's got a Sun Pluto thing happening right now, which is all very exciting. Anybody that's Aquarius right now, wow. I'm watching you guys going, woo boy. Because I remember when the sun was Pluto was conjunct my sun, but it's when it was in Capricorn, it's a very different energy. So now it's in this super cosmic galactic energy.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. So I mean, on a side note, Mary, I think that's part of it. Like we talked about that just for you personally. You're that's really a powerful activation, astrologically, in terms of, and you know how you're saying, oh, I'm getting this new stuff and they're showing me this. And I mean, you'd be doing that anyway, because that's who you are, because you're amazing. But I'm just saying this is going to be even up a level, and it's going to be more collective, right? Because Pluto rules the collective. So this is the little, me being a baker, these are the ingredients that we're working with. We're working with letting go of this low victimhood, not good enough stuff. That's what we're letting go of. We're bringing in beautiful higher levels of compassion, of service, right? And Aquarius, Pluto and Aquarius is very much about power to the people. And it's very much about, so all of these things, empowerment is a key word for all three of those planets through this portal, both personally and collectively. So that's really what people need to be thinking about, as they're traveling today and through this weekend, and however they manifest this in their own personal practice, right? So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have a question. China says, what about Scorpio? I don't
Okay,
know.
Scorpio. Well, Scorpio is it'll be trying to your sun. All water signs. That's a good question. Thanks for that. All water signs, this will also be deep for, because the sun, it will be the sun is trying to your sun. Of course, that's a general thing because I have to look at the rest of people's charts. But the main, what we call the big three, is your sun, moon, and ascendant, right, in your chart. Those are, sun, moon, and rising or ascendant. These are important things to look at. If this eclipse is hitting your sun, your moon, or your ascendant, even if it's not 20 to 28 degrees, that's still going to make it more up close and personal for you. So good question. Thank you. And any other ones? Do we have any other questions?
Not yet. If you guys want to ask Irma Kaye.
Yeah. Do you have a question?
She can't
ask a question.
She can't look at your chart, but she can.
Don't have time to look at people's charts. Sorry.
She can answer some questions about astrology. So I had a reading with Irma Kaye the other day. She read my natal chart. Yeah, so I found out who I am, sun, moon, and rising, because I kept getting different stories. And so that's really fabulous. So go get a very well done reading with her if that's what you're looking for. The reason I like astrology, numerology, and some of these other things is that a lot of detail can come out. And,
for sure.
And so if I would have known who I was astrologically when I was growing up, it really would have helped. I've said that before. And the main players around you, because everybody who's around you growing up, we're all there for a reason. We're all together, good, bad, or indifferent. And you may be seeing people a little bit different after this month. Because when Spirit told me, it's, you wonder who's still there. You look back at them. Have they been gone? Whatever. It's what they told me a long time ago is you may have to give up certain people in your life, but you may come back.
Right.
It's made me remember that for other folks that I was helping, because it's been a road these last few years.
It sure has. I just thought of a thing too, when you're talking about knowing your energy, your chart signature. It certainly would have helped me knowing mine when I was, it's like, oh, everybody's reacting in a certain way. Well, I have a really powerful chart. I'm a Capricorn, Aries, Scorpio, that's my big three. And it's like, if you don't know how to, and I'm a dragon, let's throw that in there. Wood dragon, which kind of slightly tones it down. My spiritual teacher is still alive, bless him, and he's a fire dragon.
Oh, God.
He's a Taurus fire dragon. So I was like, he was a great teacher for me, because we would like butt heads and we'd both grow, which is the goal. But I know, let's not blow up things. So no, that's really true, because I didn't really, when I started getting into it when I was in my 20s and astrology, And it kind of made sense. And then I ran the chart of course, and you can do a cheat sheet and run your family's chart and go, oh, that explains some things. Right. And in a way, I think for me, it helped me to have some more compassion, honestly, especially if somebody's got some, I have some pretty challenging stuff in my chart. I have some siblings that do too. And, are people that you don't always see eye to eye with. Right. So it's a great tool. Astrology is a great tool for a lot of things, and that's one of them.
It can be a relief because I got after myself a lot. Why didn't I wake up to certain truths till my 40s? It shows right in my chart why I didn't. I was doing what I needed to do. And
right.
Yeah. So now I'm, awake allegedly. There's going to be something I was going to say now. Doggone it. I hope I can bring that back. I'll think. Go ahead.
Do we have any more questions or no?
Not so far.
Okay. People might watch this later. Yeah, go ahead.
It has been very dragony lately. A lot of dragons. And as I said, when they come to talk to me in the morning, if they've got something really important to say and they've got great energy and they've come to teach me, I just write down what they say. If they have a weird agenda or their energy is off, then they're not going to stay very long. But the dragons have been working overtime, just like with the elementals have also been working overtime in this on this new earth. Because really, there are people right now saying we are in new earth. What do you think about that?
That's an interesting question because I had a thing here that I shared the image of this barren desert. I shared that today, right? You saw that. And I keep seeing, these sprouts coming out of this barren desert, right? So that's kind of the metaphor that I was seeing spiritually on a certain level. I mean, of course, we know there are places in consciousness. So yeah, there's some people that are absolutely living in new earth, and there's people like us that are bridging, and we have to be here, and we're going to different dimensions, right? We're doing different things for our work. So do I think it's here yet? Yeah, I do. And I do. I think it's been here for a while, but I think also it's not all the way here, right? Like we've got to kind of work out the deets of that. But yeah, I do think it's here. And I think that this portal is really, speaking of that, great segue, great topic, really, really important now through March 29th. And I mean, you guys, I have to explain this to you. I talked to eclipses in the moon, right? They've been talking to me for a long time. This one started talking to me in October. I never get eclipses talking to me that many months. That's 5 months before. I would say the average amount, I mean, they could take maybe 2 or 3 months before, like, even in the quarter before they might start coming in, as in the intel. I got the intel in the fall, like, you need to pay attention to this particular pair. And another thing too, that just to remind people, not to freak people out, but just so you know, we're in a Venus retrograde to the middle of April. These, I find Mars retrogrades a lot peskier, and I've talked about that on some of my videos. Venus retrogrades are a great opportunity to, this ties in beautifully with what we're releasing, because it has to do with values. It's like, what are my values? It's like, if this person, place, or thing or situation doesn't value me, it doesn't reflect my values, then see, that ties into releasing. Okay, it's time to let that go. So that really supports that energy, right? And the good thing about Venus retrograde is it doesn't make it so you can't talk. Like Mercury retrograde. Yeah. It just depends. I found that when Mercury's in the sign that your own Mercury's in and it's retrograde, it really does affect your ability to talk. It does. And it's interesting because mine's in Sagittarius. And so I have to, whenever Mercury's retrograde Sagittarius, I have to slow down. I have to think about what I'm saying. And that's, a good example of that. But, retrogrades have to do with communication. We know this. Mercury, this is a time when people could be not heard or misunderstood. This is a very kind of loopy, ungrounded portal. So as I like to say, give people a lot of room. If you didn't hear something, you need it repeated, ask them to repeat it, right? That's the kind of thing, because you could have more misunderstandings in a portal like this just because the energy's so woo. And then you've got Mercury that's traveling retrograde for its typical 3.5 week cycle.
And when is that?
Retrograde, the
Mercury
14th.
Mercury retrograde. I wondered about that.
March 14th, as in 2 days from now.
Yeah, I wondered about that today. I went and got my car and I have no air conditioning.
Oh, wow. Oh, it broke? As in it broke?
As in
No.
it's not there.
It's just not there. It went,
Yeah, and my phone the other day, and I had no video either. It was gone. So things are a little weird, and I just go, I'm going to come back later and look and see.
this is a great example. I'm glad you shared that. You always do that. So when you have things go wonky in a retrograde shadow, because 2 days before is very valid. We've been in the shadow for over a week. So Mari did exactly the right thing. I'm going to go back to this. This is wonky right now. And then a lot of times maybe that happens. I found things too, like I finally got an email from somebody. It was taking so long. I'm like, did they get that? Did it go in the black hole? No, they answered me. It took them a week to answer me. Yeah. This one particular organization I'm dealing with. So this is the kind of thing, like, give people room. But the thing is, you might have to send that second email. But the thing is, kind of check up and go, oh, is it in a black hole? Do I need to send another one? Because that's a typical Mercury retrograde thing, is for someone to not get the email or the text. Right? Because it rules technology. That
reminds me, I'm waiting on a thing I sent, and it could be in the black hole.
So like I said, that's right? You've got your trusty dowser there. You just check up, go, is it in the black hole? Do I need to send another one? Because right when I was going to send this other email, their email came in, like literally like within that same 15-minute period. So that was like my answer right there. So that was cool.
Higher self just keeps saying, yeah, this is fine. Don't even worry about it.
It's okay.
I did put something underneath a selenite egg just in case the other day. I thought, best thing I can do with that, selenite egg.
I love selenite. I love selenite eggs. I know selenite everything. I love that.
Because everything's energy. We just got to start knowing that. I remember when I first got the codes in 6 years ago, I wasn't talking about codes. They weren't talking about codes, and the whole thing just switched up. So this new stuff that's coming in, be excited and let that fear go. Let that fear go, because your butt might just be in Utah, and bring it forth. So Jessica has a question. Is there a link between astrology and seeing repeating number patterns? I was seeing them a lot years ago and then not so much, but seeing a ton of them again.
Yeah, great question. Hi, Jessica. Great question. Well, yes, because this is a powerful portal, right? There's going to be more synchronicity in portals. So that's another thing, because I've been tracking them too. I like numerology. I'm not a master of it by any means, but I play with it. I was, when you got a birthday that's 111, you kind of start playing with the numbers. So yeah, I think that's one of those things. They can be, again, people's mileage may vary, but they can be a sign of synchronicity, right? Of greater attunement and a portal being open, because now we're in this portal. Like I said, it's a solid 2 weeks. It's all the way to the end of the month. I'd say all the way probably to April 1st, because you always have a couple days on the front end and the back end of a new and a full moon. So I would say this portal is going to go through April 1st for anybody paying attention to that.
Wow. Okay.
So yeah, marathon, not a sprint, y'all. Pace yourselves through this. Drink your water, wear your proper shoes. I know I'm like everybody's mom right now. But yeah, I mean, just people need to pace themselves through this, because it's a big one. It's a big one.
It is, because if you're not drinking enough water right now, I swear, it's because I'm an Aquarius. I have to tell you to drink the water. China says, I was thinking the same thing. Me too. Sometimes it's like I see the 222, the 333. I've been seeing it a ton. And I was just say, okay, what is it that I am meant to know? Like that big toning I got the other day. I was meant to see all those Arcturians in front of me, and we just have to pay attention. And that's where the word salad and the stuff comes in, to keep on working on yourself to get that out of your head, so that you can pay attention a little bit better and not miss anything. Likely as not, is it going to come back around for you? Yeah, but I don't know. I kind of like to get it on the first pass.
You know what? I just got something. I'm answering somebody's question. I do that too.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but what's interesting is that, no, this is good. And this ties into what you just said,
Oh,
that we've been doing all these little release, like every time we get together, right? Clearing lower energy. We're using these codes, releasing the stuff, right? We're doing it, we're doing it, right? Almost to the point where like we're doing it again, really? But there's a
Yes.
lot there, right? There's a lot there, or you wouldn't be, you're listening and clearing how you're being guided to clear. And we totally get that and honor that. So what the difference is, this is a pattern breaker eclipse. This means, we're not going to keep clearing and clearing and clearing, you know what I mean? And going around and around. I remember a long time ago in that great book, What is Light Body? And it was one of those books that was on my bookshelf for like 5 years and I wasn't ready to read it yet because it was from Ariel. And I have no doubt it was from Ariel as an angel Ariel. And that's where I learned my Archangel Michael house clearing technique. Great book if you can still find it. But one of the things that struck me is Ariel said, y'all, you got to quit processing. Just stop. Like quit going around and around, like you get it. What is it? Alan Watts, you get the message, you hang up the phone. So that's a good one. So this is like where we are with this. This is like, we don't need to keep digging and going around. Like this is what all of this work has brought us to this moment. Eclipses are very much an apex of a shift. But when it's traveling with the North Node and the South Node, we're talking about soul. We're talking about destiny. We're talking about karma on a very deep level. So again, this is about being done. And you know how you said your mind, the little monkey mind might come back in and go, and you know what you do? Go, no, just kidding. But with love. So when that comes back, you're like, we're not doing, you just like, you acknowledge that you've done the work because you have. If you're listening to this recording, you've done the work. So when that stuff starts coming back in, you're going to go through this portal. And by the time you get to the 29th, what are you creating for this new cycle? And the thing is, it's the big new cycle. It's everybody's new cycle. So what's your little seed that you're putting in, right, to the collective? See, let's go back to this, right? All the people on the island, right? The people that are gathered on the island, right? You're finding your people. What is it? Centralization. So it's really cool for me to look at these symbols after I already sat with the energy, because they reflect it so beautifully. They don't always do that. I mean, they're usually not off, but this one was like 4 of them on the money. Like, wow, that doesn't happen very often.
Well, you know what has happened a few times is when Nancy Rebecca says the blue light is coming, I am definitely one of the many, many people who listen because she has said that it's been very verifiable that something has happened on the day she said it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So if you want to know more about this, what I would say is go to the Blue Light, I think it's just called Blue Light Movement on Facebook, but you can find them on YouTube and other places, probably YouTube and Facebook. I don't know where else, just those two I'm going to say.
Cool.
And she is talking about the galactic wave event that's going to come in. And we will be, I'm sure, feeling that before.
Well, I need to run I ran the chart, both of these, but like, of course, I put all my focus on this one because this lunar eclipses it's a big mama, right? The solar eclipse is important too, because it's going to activate the new. And, that's obviously very important. But this one, another important thing to mention is nobody alive now, I've said this before, no one alive now has experienced Saturn in Aries because it was there 150 years ago. That's an important thing to mention too. So this is really, we're stepping into very much brand new energy. So I'm going to probably either with Mary or on my own channel, I'm going to be talking about in the future, probably next month, how we can utilize the higher octave of Aries. Aries is another energy that gets a bad rap. Those little zodiac, those reels with the animals, of course we watch all our funny stuff. And the ones that are the cats and the dogs and the zodiac, they're my favorite. And the Aries cat's always like swatting the other cat. And then today's, I saw the Aries dog and it was just going,
yeah.
And I'm like, I have an Aries moon. So, I was here to get the lesson about that energy. So that's a thing too. I mean, there's a higher, Aries in the highest octave has to do with bravery and courage. It's a spiritual warrior. There's this whole other dimension to it. It's not just going, it's not just ready to get in an argument with you. So for me, that my lesson around that was it's a choose your battles thing. Especially when it's my moon. So obviously it's very close to home. But that being said, that gives me some interesting insight into that and how I think that's going to play out, right? Because we're going to have significant planets in Aries for a long time. Yeah. And we haven't had those. So our part right now, our thing, oh, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, you just said the spiritual warrior. So when people say or do something, sometimes a code is named after them. And so Irma's code is number 131, the mask of the masculine and feminine. I am the spiritual warrior. And so here's the deal.
That's my code. That was the one that was my code.
Yeah, the mask of the masculine and feminine.
Wow.
The spiritual warrior. Yeah. And so here's the deal about that one. We've all been talking about the masculine becoming more of who he really is and feeling his feelings and supporting himself, because there hasn't been, there's been all that, but there hasn't been enough of the masculine feeling like equal partner to
right, sure.
So that's happening right now. And people are just, I think, going to be rising up in groups and learning all of the new stuff that's coming on, the new technology, the new ways of coming together to get stuff done, because we've leaned upon certain structures that may not be there or maybe completely different. And so we want to be open to what's coming now, which is going to be much different. And
beautiful.
So if we are talking about, boy, I wish we were back in the good old days, I'd like to ask you when the good old days were.
Right.
Come
right.
on.
Yeah, there was a lot of really not good stuff in the good old days. We know that.
And we are waking up to see, and I'm not talking about anything political. I don't. I'm a big celery for somebody who wants to talk about that. Clean yourself out. And so I
know what you mean. You're just talking about social mores and culture. Where there's things that are in culture that just don't work, and it's not political. It's just stuff that doesn't work.
So I just always think political is like that much. There's so much more to talk about, and we are changing the world truly. And
oh yeah,
you guys. But one of my prayers, my whole entire adult life has been, I just want to be here for this. I want to be here for this. I want to be able to see this.
I'm so glad you are. I thought of a couple things, and I know we should probably go, but this is a couple things being guided to share, people. And this ties into your message. I'm sure you're saying it in any other ways. When something looks like it's down or collapsing, we're talking about abundance, so there's fear about that. This is a perfect moment to be a magician. This is a perfect opening. Because there's always these people in history that have made money and done very well in recessions when the economy's bad. There's been a lot of people that have done that. Do you have to be a little bit of a magician? Yeah. Are you naturally one? Yes, you are. So, do you need to use the tools? Yes, you need to use the tools. This is another thing. We are so blessed when you think about what things that our generation has that our ancestors didn't. These tools are unbelievable that we have. Obviously astrology is an older tool, but when Mary's bringing in this incredible light code work, there's all kinds of, there's shamanic work, all this beautiful energy work. I do IET, integrated energy therapy. That's a beautiful energy system. So we have this, our ancestors didn't have this. So I like to revel in that. And I'm grateful for that every single day. Another interesting thing, if anybody wants to get into this, I studied Buddhism a lot when I was younger. I got into Tibetan Buddhism. I studied Choyam Rinpoche, Choyam Trungpa Rinpoche, a little tongue twister. He was a really wild being, and he was what's called a Vajra, which is like standing on the end of the the pin, right? Just very intense being. My teacher met him and hung out with him and has a lot of wild stories about him, about the lasers coming out of his eyes and things like that. But anyway, but anyway, his whole thing was about spiritual warriorship. He has a book, The Path of the Warrior, has a whole series about this. He also wrote the incredible book called Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. But his whole thing is a new vision of what a spiritual warrior is, and how a spiritual warrior has an open heart filled with love and compassion, right? Doing the Buddha Dharma, doing their individual Dharma, right? So I'm like, this guy all those years ago, that was the formula for right now. I just realized that the other day, because that's what we're being called to be. We're being called to be open-hearted spiritual warriors. We're not going around. We're not going to every parking lot fight that, we're invited to. We're going to be approaching this from, which might have been something in the past. We're approaching this from a more elevated place. Again, choose your battles. That's the key for Aries energy, right? But also it's keep your heart open. Yeah. Is there going to be some scary stuff? Yeah. But we're here for a reason. And the astrology is very much supporting that. So until we get into that, that's kind of down, the next chapter. But right now we're in this Pisces stage, which is letting go, release, let it go.
Yeah.
You don't have to study it on the way out, right? Like Ariel said, you don't have to process it to bits because that's another thing with Virgo, because it's super analytical. So this is also a thing where people are going to need to choose their, kind of look at this and go, you can certainly overthink something. We all know this. We've all done this. This is a thing about finding that middle point, which is Pisces is literally, I always say, like, what's that song? It's Tomorrow Never Knows from the Beatles. Like, relax your mind and float downstream. It's completely no thought. Whereas, Virgo's like a bean counter. So it's going to be right in the middle of being a bean counter and floating down the river with no thought. So it's like, we want to be open for spiritual and, more elevated thoughts to come in. So we want to be present. We don't want to be out of body. We want to be in body, right? But we don't want to be a bean counter and picking at things to that level, because then we're going to miss the mark that way. So that's kind of the eternal dance of Pisces and Virgo in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, but even I can understand that, because that makes me know why I just feel kind of weird. So some people are actually out of their body.
Oh yeah, there are for sure. Yeah, I experienced that a little earlier this week. Yeah, there's some people that are not in body. So that's another thing. Make sure people, when you leave the house, I would just say, not a fear thing, but just a defensive magic thing. Bubble your car, bubble yourself, like you always do. Whatever your practice is. Please do that, because keep in mind, not only are you dealing with the eclipse portal, you're dealing with the Mercury retrograde station, because the universe has a really bizarre sense of humor. So that's what you're dealing with, right? Which is, you're dealing with the spacey Pisces, and then you're dealing with Mercury like starting to walk backwards. So it's kind of a lot, but can we manage it? Sure. We've done this before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They keep telling me, trust, we've got y'all, all y'all. We got
They do. It's like, we're so grateful. That's another thing too. Really lean into your teams, people. This is when they're going to be closer. On a bigger picture, this opens the portal. I love Beltan, which is the full moon, which is the Buddha moon, and that's in May. That's one of my absolute favorites, because that's in Scorpio and it lights up my chart in a certain way. But that's really like an ancestor's moon. That's a portal that people can get in touch with some very high stuff as far as teachers, right? As far as ascended masters and teachers, is that particular moon. But we've got this whole period between the end of mid-March all the way through the beginning of May. This is the most important. I feel I haven't really sat with fall yet, but I don't see how you're going to beat this can opener eclipse conjunct the nodes. I just, this is big, and again, I haven't sat with the fall yet. But that being said, everybody, you're going to be on a magic carpet. Just ground yourself and you'll be fine. Right.
Let's hope we're not opening the can of the compressed snake. You know what I mean? You get that
Yeah.
at
Oh,
the store.
you know what? Honestly, I think some people will. I mean, I really think that people that have been, I always say, because people, there's all this thing like this weird trepidation about eclipses, right? This goes back to generations when people didn't know what was happening in the sky, right? If you see a
Sure.
darkening, you're like, what the heck's going on? So
Sure.
I think that the fear, the only thing, that people that have a hard time, it's like the more unconsciousness that you bring into these things, the more, you might have a rougher experience. Some people might have that can in the spring snake thing. I haven't thought about those in years. That's a great one. That's so great because it's you're the snake in an eclipse. It might go, but then you laugh and it's fun. But good.
I kind of like it. So Jessica, this is the last question we're going to take because we got to go. Jessica is saying, do we just say we're bubbling ourselves? Is there more to do or say? Personally, what I do is I put my Faraday cage up every morning. I make sure it's looking good. Sim my dragons. I got like 8 ways from Sunday to keep myself nice and safe. If I go out on the road, my car is nice and safe. And then generally what I do is I just trust. I trust my guides have me. And sometimes you have lessons that come along that you're going to get those lessons without forethought or foresight on it. That's just called a lesson. But we're here right now to love and assist other people, and stay out of lower thought. Stay out of that. Just don't do it. Go outside, have a walk, do your best to staying out of that spelling stuff.
That's a great answer. I would add too, that's perfect. The only thing I would add to that is I do a thing where I just let this, they in Reiki, they would call it let the spirit go before you, right? You can send Reiki, just kind of let it precede you, right? Just give that blessing, right? Before you even get there. Just you're blessing the road, you're blessing the wherever you're going, you're blessing the people at the grocery store. That's a beautifully protective thing to do also.
And before I go to the grocery store, I go under the sword of St. Michael. He's going to kick him in their butt with the sword. I'm totally fine. I mean, I love Archangel Michael.
He's good at that. He's really good at that. Yeah. We love him. Thank you, Michael. We love you kicking butt, taking names. But we'll go.
Thank you very much, Irma Kaye, for coming on, and thanks everybody for being here. Please tune in with what Irma's got going on. She's on Facebook, Instagram. What's the other ones?
Cosmic Weather at YouTube. Please follow my channel. I'm trying to get more stuff going on over there. I'm doing a lot of free forecasts. That's all kind of back on board again. I was kind of offline with some personal stuff, but now I'm back. So look up Cosmic Weather at YouTube. And then if anybody's interested in my website, it's just irmakaye.com is my website. That's another way people can get in touch with me if you want to book a reading or have a question. And I just shared too, I've got a couple of retreats coming up, including one in Sedona in the fall. So if anybody wants information about that, please go to irmakaye.com and get on the mailing list to make sure, because we know with the algorithms that a lot of people don't see everything. So it's really good to get on people's mailing lists, right? To make sure that you are receiving people's information. So yeah, if you're not on Mary's list, get on Mary's list, get on my list, because the algos bury stuff and we want to be in touch with you. So thank you.
I want to be in touch with me too. Maybe it's time to eat that gluten-free pasta. I think maybe I'm just hungry. So April class is coming up for everybody. They're not up yet, but they're going to be there in about 5 seconds. The Living Rainbow and the Art of Your Soul, DNA. Mother Earth, I am the truth and the final word. That's what she said. I am the truth and the final word. When Mother Earth speaks, we best to listen. And then the second part of next month is Enter the Dragon, the power, the story, and the 9 journeys, give or take. The rest of the month, I've got new stuff too. I got another class. It's something about the eye upon you. It's about judgment and stuff. So we want to do that. I'm going to be bringing in that new stuff, which is called the Art of Your Soul.
Beautiful. I can't wait. That sounds amazing.
That was the dragon.
Okay. So cool. Okay.
Good night, everybody. God bless you.
Oh, I love talking to you. We have so much fun.